thank everyone for coming today. If it's pissing down on us, well, it's pissing down on Pegida. And we're here to say no to Pegida, no to racism and fascism, and no to Islamophobia. We are Birmingham, and we are proud to be here in the city centre, while Pegida are out on the outskirts. We're proud to be Birmingham, we're proud to be Muslim and Christian, black and white, we're gay, we're straight, we're disabled, we are Birmingham, and we will not let the racists and the fascists divide us. But we're here particularly today though, because Tommy Robinson has brought Pegida to Birmingham. And I just want to say something to remind you of what Pegida is. Because Tommy Robinson tries to say he's a normal, respectable person now, not racist, doesn't want to stir up racism. Well, this is what he said in Dresden in October to the patriotic people of Europe against the Islamification of the Occident, which is us. He said, thousands of jihadis in Europe are sharpening their swords and getting ready their guns for their next attack. He said, we want a Europe free from fear, free from terror, free from gangs of roaming Muslim rape gangs, and he said, we want to be free from the shadow, the dark shadow and the visual scar of mosques and minarets. We want to be free from the sounds of the call to prayer. That's the racism, that's the Islamophobia of Tommy Robinson, and that is why United Against Fascism says there's no right to free speech for Tommy Robinson and his fascists, because their free speech means the end of other people's free speech. It means increased attacks on Muslims and migrants. That is why United Against Fascism says there is no right of assembly to fascists. We want to wipe them off our streets. They're not allowed into Birmingham city centre, because every time they come here, whether he calls himself the EDL, Pegida or whatever, every time he's here, we are here to stop him being in Birmingham city centre. And United Against Fascism is also out at the airport today to protest him, because we don't want him in Birmingham, we don't want him at the airport, we don't think he has the right to be anywhere on our streets. But I want to say one more thing, because the fascists, the nasty little fascists and Nazi groups like Tommy Robinson, they are trying to grow, they are trying to use this racist, violent, Islamophobic climate that's been created by our racist Tory government that is actually leading the attack, this violent, racist attack, Islamophobic onslaught led by Cameron, with his talk of swarms of migrants, with his talk of hordes of migrants waiting to come into the country, with his vile attack on Muslim women. How dare he? Muslim women that he says can't speak English, when we know he's cut all the ESOL courses, and that his vile attack on when he says that schools now can fail their Ofsted if women wear the niqab, whipping up deliberately anti-Muslim racism and hatred, with his attack with Prevent, which is turning teachers into spies, and we're going to hear more about that from one of our next speeches, and which is encouraging teachers to see all our Muslim children as potential terrorists. So we say Tommy Robinson and they're a problem, but the real problem is this government and Cameron and his deliberate whipping up of racism, hoping that under the cover of that we won't notice his attacks, his attacks on our public sector, on our hospitals, on our schools, our jobs, our standard of living. So I just want to finally say something that the Institute of Race Relations came out with last month. They said, in the context of Prevent, we see an increase in racist violence and extreme negative stereotyping of Muslims. We have seen race crimes go up, hate crimes by 18% in the last year, and 83% of these are fueled by racism. The Institution of Race Relations said Islamophobia has now become mainstream. 1 out of 3 of our young children in school believe that Muslims are taking over the UK. 1 out of 4 of our young children believe that Islam encourages terrorism. And it's not Tommy Robinson and his nasty fascist thugs that have done that. It's Cameron and this racist government. So just finally to finish, what are we to do? I'd say there's 3 things we can all do this week to push back this racist tide of filth. One is support our junior doctors on Wednesday. A victory to them will be a victory for us all, and we'll push back this government. Second, let's be on the picket line at Small School, where they are fighting the attacks from the Trojan horse, which have so devastated our schools, and the teachers there are fighting back against that. And finally, let's all sign up to go down to London on March the 19th. Let's have a massive, massive march of tens, hundreds of thousands, where we show this government that we will not be divided by racism and Islamophobia. And let's build a tide, a massive tide of strikes and protests that can get rid of this Tory government and push Tommy Robinson and his fascist thugs back in the gutter and down the sewer where they belong.